How much should you tip and who should you tip when you're at an all-inclusive resort for a destination wedding? Hold on and we'll talk about that. Hi, I'm Jack with Vacationies. Again, do me a favor and subscribe to the videos. Just if you want reminders, I do post a video every Tuesday, so if you hit on the bell, you'll get notifications from YouTube. Now, tipping. It's a very personal thing, but it's a question we get a lot from brides and grooms, and even more importantly, from your guests. So, let me give you my feedback. This is my ideas, my experience, plus I've talked to some of the staff at the resorts that I know. I've talked to some of the wedding planners. I talked to some of the bellmen. I'm just trying to get an idea to make sure what people are doing. So now let's talk about when you get to the resort or you get off the plane, the first thing you do is you have the transfer company that we schedule to pick your guests up. Now, typically when you get there, there should be a sign or someone at the airport with a sign with the name of the resort or your names. They're going to gather all your guests. They're going to take them to a vehicle. Now, some people do tip those gentlemen or ladies $1 or $2. They take your bags, they put them in the van, they drive you to the hotel. Again, I've talked to people that tip the guy that takes the bags. I've talked to clients that will tip the driver as well, because it could be a half-hour ride, it could be 45 minutes. So you tip your Uber driver at home, you tip a taxi driver, so you might as well tip those guys. They're safe, they get you there. So that's the first person that you're going to interact with is a driver. Then the next thing you do is you arrive at the resort. The next person you're typically going to see at the resort is a bellman who's going to come out and greet you, or someone may come out with a cold towel or a glass of sparkling wine. Typically the bellmen are going to take your bag, tell you go inside, give you a ticket. Do you tip them? It's really up to you. I don't have a consistent thought on that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Next thing you do is you go to the front desk. After that, they're going to send you to your room. Dependent upon the resort, someone may walk you to your room with your bags, ride you in a little golf cart, or they may tell you how do you get to your room, and next thing you know, your bags mysteriously show up by a bellman. Again, same thing. You may tip that person. I am told that the bellmen typically are getting tipped at all-inclusive resorts, even though at an all-inclusive resort, they'll tell you tipping is not necessary or gratuities are included. But again, the $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 you may tip someone in a foreign country such as Mexico, the DR, Punta Cana, Jamaica, is substantially more valuable to them than it is to you. Now around the resort, who is there that you can tip? Well, there's always bartenders. I have a client that says to me they find a bar that they like, they find a bartender that makes the drink, and on the first day of the trip they may give them $5 and just tell them, you're great, keep me hydrated. That's okay. A lot of the resorts don't have tip jars or anything. As a matter of fact, in the old days of all-inclusives, there were some resorts that basically had signs all over that said tipping is not allowed, it is not permitted. I don't see those signs anymore, but I don't really see tip jars. One of the other people you may want to tip is when you're at the beach or at the pool. Typically the resorts that we as Vacationies tend to suggest to our guests are 4.5 to 5 star. Those resorts are going to have what I call beach or pool butlers. So if you want a drink or some snacks, you really never have to get up. You may swim to the pool bar, but there's going to be people circulating all day long bringing you drinks. One of my tricks is if I find a place that I know I'm going to sit for the couple days, the week, whatever I'm at the resort, I'll say to the bar butler or the beach butler or pool butler, hey, is this your area and are you going to be here all week? And if they say, well, no, we changed positions, okay, fine. If they say, yeah, I'm here for the whole week, I may give them maybe $5 or $10 there and just tell them, look, I'm going to try to be here. I like this type of drink. I like Diet Coke. I like water. And you know what? They'll be watching out for me. If that's not the case, then what I am told by the bartenders, as well as the beach butlers, the pool butlers, as well as food and beverage managers and other guests, that typically towards the end of the day, if that one person is consistently taking care of someone, someone may tip someone a couple of dollars to $5 to $10 for the group of people sitting around. Again, it is not required, but I can tell you in talking to the staff, It is truly, truly appreciated. Now, let's look at restaurants. Typically at an all-inclusive resort, breakfast is served at a buffet. You may have an a la carte choice as well. Lunch, again, maybe a barbecue, maybe a buffet, maybe at the pizza joint. So you have a lot of more casual opportunities. What I find is a lot of people are not tipping at buffets. What I will say it's interesting, and I see this with my wife, as well as other guests, if you like omelets and you find an omelet guy that does a great omelet in the morning at the buffet, I find people are tipping the omelet guy. Again, I'm not an omelet either. But I find that most people are not tipping. Maybe they'll leave a couple bucks on the table after they leave a buffet, but that's usually breakfast and lunch. Now at dinner, most of the resorts that we suggest will have a la carte restaurants, meaning you're ordering off a menu. Some of the resorts may have a buffet also, and again, most of the time what I tell people is, look, if you tip $5 to $10 at dinner, again, those servers are going to be very appreciative. So what I would say is if you're at an a la carte dinner, just as though if you were home and you had a $100 dinner, would you tip? Probably. So I have a client that tells me, well, I perceive what the value of the meal is and I tip 20% like I do at home. And I tell them, if you do that, you'll have a best friend for life. So I don't think there's a general rule, but I did talk to one of the restaurant managers at one of the Secrets resorts a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him about the whole tipping thing. And what he said to me is, look, a lot of times the servers will get $5 to $10 for a two-top or a four-top. It's inconsistent, and it doesn't matter what people order. It's just that the service is good. People are trying to show that they're thankful to the service that people are providing to them. Another place we see tipping is room service. Again, most of the resorts that your travel planner will suggest, if they're 4 to 5 star, room services is going to be included. There's some resorts that it's not, or it's only included in certain room categories, but most of the resorts that we as Vacationies, they're going to have room service for pretty much all the rooms. Again, same thing. Someone is bringing you food. Do you have to tip? No, but again, I talked to a couple of guys that only do room service, and they do get tips, whether it's a breakfast in bed or a midnight snack of tacos and a beer. Those guys tell me that they do get tipped. Now, that's kind of it overall. If you have a concierge that's helping you or a butler, again, discretion. I've talked to some of the butlers at the resorts, and some of them are getting $5, $10, $20 a day. Some of them are getting hundreds of dollars a week. I think it really depends what their service they're providing for you. I think if you're the bride and groom, one of the things I've been asked a lot is, should we tip the wedding planner, the wedding coordinator? I've asked multiple wedding coordinators, and it's hit or miss. Some of them tell me yes, the person that's there doing the day of event management on behalf of the resort, they do get tips sometimes. Sometimes you're dealing with a wedding designer who you may not meet at the resort, but you've dealt with prior. So that person really has done the design, but then you'll have someone that's there with you, escorting you around and taking care of you during your wedding. Again, it's 50-50. I've talked to some coordinators that say sometimes they do get tipped, sometimes they don't. One other area we see specifically with the brides and grooms, but it also can be with your guests, is at the spa for your hair and makeup, or just getting a massage. Again, same thing. Sometimes the resorts will say they're adding a tip to the bill, so you have to watch out for that, and sometimes they don't. Personally, I make sure that if I have a massage or something, I actually do provide a gratuity, a tip, to the individual who is providing me the treatment. Not that I don't trust the resorts to make sure that the money they're adding in goes to that person. I'm sure it does. But again, if I've had a great spa treatment, I just want to make sure I'm taking care of the person that has provided that treatment to me. So again, tipping and gratuities are at the discretion of the individual receiving the service. Don't get me wrong, it is not mandatory. These resorts will tell you it is included. So if you don't feel as though you want to, don't worry. No one's going to really say anything to you. But like I said in the beginning, is the couple bucks that you give to someone in a foreign country, Mexico, Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, is going to be substantially more valuable to them than it's going to be to you. So it's the same thing here in the U.S. if you're at a restaurant. It's not required, even though we perceive it is, but it's really, how the experience was. So hopefully this is helpful not only for you as the bride and groom, but these are questions we will get from your guests, and you may get from your guests because many of your guests have never been to an all-inclusive resort, and they really want to make sure that they have a great experience and a vacation at your destination wedding. I'm Jack with Vacationese, and hopefully you've learned a little bit about tipping during a destination wedding trip.